Correct. Oh,
Yes, Gauri ma'am, we are live now.
we are live. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yes. Okay. Welcome to Dil Ki Baatein with me, Gouri Dange, writer and family counselor. We've since November been consistently covering a whole range of emotional issues, sociological issues, mental issues that seniors face, as well as younger people who are dealing with seniors, working with seniors. So we're looking at intergenerational, we're looking at interpersonal. There's a range of questions that we get. Hi, hello, Mira. Hi. The kind of questions we get range from issues about loneliness, issues about handling change, things like marriages which are not doing so well and how to deal with those in advanced years. Today we have a question to do with making new friends in our senior years. If you have to, for any reason, move into a facility, senior facility, or move to your children, or move away from where you had your core, you know, friendships and work relationships and all of those, which for some reason, and what to do about how to go about making new friends. I'll first read you the question from Anandita G. So she writes, Dear Gauri, I have moved into a senior facility in Newtown after losing my husband last year. We had planned and bought membership in this place. So we were aware that I would be leaving my own city. My other choice was to go stay with my son in UK, which I prefer to only visit. I stay in contact with my friends and relatives mainly on WhatsApp and Zoom. But for a daily basis, I'm aware I must make new friends. I'm hesitant because frankly, I do not want to get too close to anyone, hear about their problems, tell them mine. I just want to live peacefully and no more to be drawn into people's drama and counsel them or be counseled, which I've seen a lot of in the last many years. I want to retire from all that too. I also do not want to get involved in calling people over for drinks, snacks, etc., which is quite a thing here in this community. I feel I'm done with that kind of social pressure, she says. There are some groups here, but a lot of it to do with uh, outings, performing, not of my interest. There is a book club. I read quite a lot, but I don't see the point of discussing a book. One of the things that stops me these days is that people often turn out to be communal minded and openly talk ill of some communities or classes. And this goes against everything that I grew up with and the way I lived my life so far. I am well aware that isolation is a serious problem as we age, and I should be aware of it. Is there some way to make friends in a more formal and limited space? This is her question. So, there's a certain break. There's a certain, she obviously has had to move from her comfort zone of where she lived with like-minded people. And of course, all of us are now fortunate enough to have WhatsApp, Zoom, all of this to be, completely cut off from your roots, wherever they were. And yet, really, I think, and she's saying it herself, Anandita, that is not enough to lead a virtual existence is not a great idea at all times. So, so what kind of balance can you find where, yes, you hang on to the comfort of meeting friends online, friends who you already know, and yet you don't live in a kind of bubble in your new place? Um, Firstly, I think, and all of you will, I'm sure, have experienced it, that of course the compulsions in making friends is now very different from when we were younger and how we made friends along those lines. I think when we were younger, a lot of things had to match. You spent a lot of time with each other. You shared maybe your spouses were also friends, your children became friends. It was a much heavier engagement one on one or entire families. And it took a lot of investment, those kind of friendships. I think one essential thing is that perhaps new friendships in our senior years, we ourselves can architecture them so that there is not so much. I get the sense that she's worried about just again being drawn into this that kind of friendship and involvement as we have been in our prime years. She's seems to be cautious about that, but I'm saying that, and after I finish, we'll bring this up in the discussion. It doesn't need to be that way. You can have right from ranging from just a nodding acquaintance with the people around you to a limited time deal, start by end by time, where you do go meet somebody or you call somebody home. And you may also find that it doesn't have to be so, what is the word for it? Quid pro quo kind of that I called you once for tea, then I have to call the other person next. You may find a tribe of people who are not so transactional. That's the word I was looking. And it could be more easy flowing. You could declare that, your hosting days are over. I think it's important to ease into new friendships instead of hoping to, out of tension, just overnight saying, okay, from now on, this is my new tribe. I better get along with all of them. One of her hesitations is to do with worldview, where she says she's not happy with what she gathers is communal talk, racist talk, whatever kind of conversations there are, which she's not comfortable with. Again, this would mean that I'm sure in a big facility, there will be people of your kind, but I'm saying now it's not even important to connect on those counts and necessarily call each other out on what you do, and let live and let live, unless that person is really you're connecting to a group that is being extremely strident and extremely non-secular in a way that you are not, Anandita is not comfortable with. Those are the people maybe she would avoid. Even then, I don't see what is wrong in just, maybe having a cup of tea together in the dining hall. That's one thing. I think so. A complete change of pace and content is probably required of us to make as we make friends as we are older. The pace, how often we meet, and the content, which is the quality of the thing, where you must get along about everything, you must share everything, particularly women, I think. So where does you, and that way you may slowly find like-minded people where pace, as well as the content is now quantitatively different. Um, so I'm saying that perhaps this is the time that you can be civil, interested in people, but not look for being best of friends. Um, about the communal issue, support, particularly in this example, um, you sometimes don't know whether to just smile and nod and play along, but don't agree and don't want to start a big argument with strangers. It might be a way, it might be, you can find artistic ways to declare what you believe in. That's all you can do, what you live by. But you can't look to change other people or want people to see things the way you can. So these limited, bracketed um, interactions where it's not so much heart to heart, which also she's nervous about, just doesn't want to take on, has done it before, doesn't want to get that close. And I think those are possible. One of the very important things about why we should, um, we know all the obvious reasons why isolation is not good for you. And somebody will say, but I'm not isolated. Mornings, I do my yoga online with my Bombay friends. And afternoons, we have a cup of tea together. We drink a glass of wine on Saturdays, all online. I'm not isolated. But it is real. You need real world interactions. One is, of course, one current very big threat if you're isolated and don't know much of what's going on is the seniors being vulnerable to scams. Scams. We are just seeing around us people who are very all there, have lived, intelligent lives, have worked, are suddenly being, because they've not, sometimes it's to do with not having talked to other people. Just idle chit chat, 6 in the evening, chai chit chat, or downstairs, bench ka sitting and talking, alerts you to, oh, there's an electricity company scam going on. Simple thing like that. You hear of it from there. You may well hear of it from your virtual friends, but I'm saying it's good to just be in the real world and know what is preoccupying people and whether you should be also taking into account some of those things. Where, your what people are currently vulnerable to, what's going around. Uh, the other the other avenue, I think, of becoming sociable in a new situation is probably to make friends along. It maybe one should not even call it making friends, to have activity friends, activity partners. So like-minded people. If she says that there's a group where it's more about outings and performances, uh, and that's not for her, there will be other people who do other things. I know in Delhi, for example, the last time I was there, I know a small group of older people who are interested in old structures, not the famous obvious ones, but old structures, old buildings, and they just hire a car and driver in good weather and they go looking. And sometimes it's not even that they are each other's spouses or anything. They just assemble for this and disassemble. There's no romantic involvement. There's nothing. There is no ruffled feathers. And there is no eating and drinking. Each person will just bring a little thing along. But it's a very, very pleasant outing. I'm telling you this because I just happened to be co-opted into one such outing and it was delightful. It was really delightful. These were people who were looking at the uh, tombs of Mughal generals and senior people, not kings and queens, the tombs of, and it was in a particular kind of stone, and they were deeply nothing was going to come of it. No book, no nothing, no talk, just enjoyment along common interest. So I'm saying that joining joining activity related groups is a great idea, and but we need to reword that thing that, make new friends. Let's look at what is the content of these new friends. It could be something as simple as this, which is 3 hours spent on a Sunday together, somewhere, going somewhere. The other reason that, one should not be isolated is, all doctors say that isolation and dementia, meaning we are all it's common knowledge, and Alzheimer's, dementia, all of it does have so much, rooted so much in physiology too, but also your social uh, arrangements. I think it is ushered in faster if you tend to be in your own bubble. I sense from Anandita's letter some amount of fear also, fear of just being taken over by some new people. And I think we should know that people are not out to get you. Everybody's leading their own lives. Nobody's out to get you as such. And I think we are now old enough to sense from very far if somebody is planning to mop up too much of your emotional time, physical time. You get a sense of it, and you know how to. Again, I think when we were younger, it was a much more awkward thing. How do I say no? Why? Why is she come now? I think one must take advantage of our advancing years and put that end by thing. I have something at 9, or I tend to get tired, or something very plain and clear of why you set up in advance the start by end by date of a meetup with somebody. Of course, if it's very pleasant and it organically goes into a longer time, that's fine. But to be It's all new maybe for her. So she's erring on the side of caution. Let's not jump into something where then you won't know how to get out of it. In this case, living in a facility, so you're going to keep seeing each other. So, how to start off uh, not on the wrong foot. Another suggestion is, of course, to get to either consult or volunteer or get a part-time job, something which was your core work. Just there are just so many things in all our cities. Plug into volunteering, whether it's literacy, whether it's senior literacy, whether it's library projects, food, distribution, teaching English, teaching language. There is lots. Again, seniors are afraid that will I have the energy to jump into a very demanding process where I may be called upon. I can't be at the other end of the phone all the time for emergencies, animal rescue, all of that. But I think we are now at that age where you can spell out. These days, I have this much time. I cannot come running out to save every, um, hit and run thing with, say, a dog. I can't run out. Maybe I used to do it. I can't. But is there a group which can harness what I can do for these hours? So volunteering, whether it's in schools or these kind of institutions, will bring you maybe not friends, but that internally a sense of purpose, and externally meeting like-minded people in which you're not talking politics and communities and racism and any of that stuff. You're talking about, again, a well-framed need in which you are able to provide something. Um, it's, I know, and we've talked about this before here, that in the Western world, volunteering is easier because it is structured, and the people can take your time in the amount you are ready to give it. While here you do get the feeling, if I get into this, I'll get sucked into this, because there's just such a huge, gigantic need, and it's not, maybe sometimes not very organized. So the minute somebody realizes that you're willing to be part of the solutions to a problem, you could get overwhelmed with the requests, or extended time, more than you are ready to give, extended time engagement. That is a thing to look at. But that can't be reason enough to not volunteer, especially if you're looking now here at making social connects without, um, what I feel she and people like her are saying is, we want to stay inside our boundaries. We're okay on our own. We want to make a connect. We don't want to reset the whole system of getting extremely close to anybody. Um, so get off the computer and go outside is something I will say to Anandita. And even there should be a start by and end by date to how often you'll be with your old friends on the virtual forums also. Even that should have it cannot be instead of all social interaction. It should be just a part of your staying connected to your very comfortable areas of life. Um, Field trips, workshops, even reskilling in some minor, small way, to find things to do which may have been on the back burner for a long time in your life. And that's another way to meet people, but have a core activity that is not got to do with chit chat and cooking and feeding and personal, too much personal sharing. The core is what you've joined, say, a class or a workshop or a course for. And the people you meet along the way is the bonus in this. And it's a very limited, in good boundary boundary set kind of activity that you could do. Uh, Another thing that I think that people are worried, not worried about, but find awkward is that, um, and I do hear people saying that nobody's really interested in you and where you came from and what your life was. And everybody is, maybe this is a current thing, not just in the seniors world. Everybody is interested in projecting who they are and what they are about and my life. And before I came here, who I was, and not really interested in knowing other people. So one of the things one can be is just a compassionate and understanding listener. But that doesn't mean you will get dragged, as she calls it, into those dramas. She calls it into more drawn into people's dramas and counsel them. So it doesn't have to be that or that. Isolation or then getting taken over by people's need to, project themselves onto you, all of that. You can find I think not you can, you must find. I think it's important to find an, a spot in which you are available to people, but not taken over by people. Why is this important in the senior year and why is it written as a senior thing? One is, of course, sometimes we are stuck with change of place, right? You go to live with you. If she hadn't gone into the facility, she was going to go, she would need to go to UK and stay somewhere else. That's a whole other ball game. Again, required to rebuild some basic building blocks of social interaction. See, to some people, it comes very naturally. It comes naturally wherever they go. They're okay. They'll find their tribe and they'll manage quite well. Some people are creatures of habit. You've known those friends right from school, say, and that continuity is what you miss and what you are afraid of losing. If I get a feeling that if she says that they tend to meet up and discuss their children and their private problems and all of that, I I think it's a matter of applying filters and finding it may be just two people in a facility of 500 people or whatever this amount is, and to then find people. I think the important thing is to not look at quantity and also time frame. By May end, I must have 3 new friends. Uh, you know, it. I don't think one should be so burdened with this. The realization is correct that I need to make new friends. I need to avoid isolation. That realization is absolutely appropriate, but to not, fret, fret over it. I get this feeling of Anandita here is 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 feeling fretful about it. Is feeling also pressured about it, and is not sure where does she start. And then the tendency is to then I just go back to that safe place, which is live like a stranger surrounded by people. And your only sense of connect is when you put on your device and, all you're exchanging WhatsApps and all of that stuff. She does mention WhatsApp and Zoom. I think, again, I'm using that word which comes up here. All of this has to be intentional. Cannot be by default, my comfort zone is Zoom and WhatsApp. Let's see who's doing what. It has to be intentional. You have to set up dates, whether they are with your women friends, um, relatives. You set up a time, look forward to it, start it, and end it. And the same thing, I think there should be an intentional making of friends in your senior years where you are very clear why you want to do this. Okay, you may be only clear in as much as you say, I understand it's bad for me not to do it. Even that is enough as a starting point. That I understand it's bad for me to just not engage with the entire building that I live in, say. Um, that much awareness is enough to then step up, step out, make those connections, and yet be not get lost in the game, as they call it. See, she's afraid of it going back to, doesn't have the bandwidth anymore of being a very, very dynamic and very demanding friendships. Maybe she's had those. She's probably enjoyed those as well as started uh, not enjoying them at one time. And her fear is that if I make that move to friendship, it's that whole package always. I think we have to ourselves demarcate what is it you want from that thing. Maybe you grew up with the idea is friends, meaning you attend everything in that person's family, you hear them, you talk for 45 minutes on the phone till they talk your ear off about personal problems. This may have been a mode and a perfectly valid mode. But if inside you're saying, here's my chance to reset, I've come to a new place, and I think it's a good opportunity to reset your priorities about how you engage with people in the first place. You know, it may be a good time to sit back and reflect about where you screwed up on some of your friendships, where maybe you um, let a friendship become too demanding, and out of politeness you were not able to say bas. So it is a kind of reset, and you can set the rules for yourself. I think it's possible. We'll in a couple of minutes we'll throw this open, and I would like to hear from you people what your feelings about this are, even if you're not in exactly her situation and the situation. One last point I had. Um, yeah, I'm saying that socializing now in our years does not necessarily mean, I think I've said this earlier today, but still, doesn't come now attached with laying out a table of goodies, cleaning up your house, seeing that all your brass is all shiny, whatever it was that for you constituted playing host or visiting somebody. Um, you may just find that people who enjoy your company and you there in their company without any of the earlier trappings of what social get-togethers were about. Not reciprocating in kind and not reciprocating in specifics one-on-one. You call me, I need to call you. You made such an elaborate meal, I need to make an equally elaborate meal. I think one of the big advantages of aging is that all this eating and production of food can become a minor aspect of socializing. If you decide that's really something that you're happy to be rid of, I don't think we have to be scared to say, but if I socialize, I'll have to call people home, or I'll have to make finger foods, as she calls it. Finger foods is a very much in your middle age, this is how you are, whether it's in the forces or in the corporate world, or where you play the hostess with the mostest or whatever it was called. I think we can now award ourselves a chutti from that. So, like I said in the beginning, the quality and the quantity of what we do to make friends and retain friendships perforce changes in our senior years, and changes for the, I would say, for the better, because some of the rules of engagement now are much more skeletal, if I can call it that, lean, not full of all the what in Marathi we call devan givan, and gifts and birthdays to be remembered and outings and all of that. A pared down version um, can be as, I think, nurturing and happy as your core friendships and relationships. I don't know if let's throw this where you can be yourself and where yet find new people in your life. That's what I was saying. I want to throw this open to you people about what you think about this thing. Are you facing some of it yourself? Are you reducing your friendships? Are you increasing them? Is the quality and quantity changing of how you have any of you been in the position where you make you're in a completely brand new situation. It could be as simple as just leaving an old part of your town and moving to another part of town. Or it could be like hers, which is a whole other city, maybe another continent. Would love to hear from you people. Anything anyone wants to say? Yes. Is that somebody had their hand up? No. Okay, that's my hand up. Sorry. Yes, Deepali. Yeah.
Just find my voice.
Huh.
It is my. Am I muted or can you hear
No,
me?
no, we can hear you. We can hear you.
What really has been disturbing in the last decade, I'd say, or approximately decade, yeah, since 2014,
Uh-huh.
the with the changing political scenario and the changing with the quantum of bigotry being displayed shamelessly, it has
That you
disturbed
mentioned. Yeah.
many
Yeah.
of my very old and deep friendships, which you get so shaken by it that I tend to bottle up or walk away or just mute
Right.
myself and
Yeah.
not, I
Yeah.
don't want to engage
Yeah. Yeah.
because
Correct.
that is something which everybody seems to be a closet bigot.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
that has been traumatic, and
Yeah.
it could be friends, it could be family,
Yeah.
and it's something which, I mean, okay, you can go right ahead and make nice, superficial new friends and hello on the morning walk and the rest of it. And
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
might
Yeah.
be pleasant. But if
Yeah.
you go a little further and then you find that, oh,
Hmm.
this
Hmm.
person
Hmm.
hates XYZ community, then
Yeah.
it's a very, very
It's
disturbing.
a game. It's a non-negotiable for some people. It's a non-negotiable, like she's saying, like Anandita is saying. Uh, I understand. This is a big one. In every country where there's bigotry, racism, all of that, people are all around the world. People are dealing with this thing of and as you're saying, Dipali, it's not new friends. Sometimes people are now dealing with old friends who are falling off your table because you don't want that. Mm, mm. Correct, correct. Yeah, yeah. No, it is by like I was saying about Anandita. I don't know if I read that. I mean, said that part out to you that okay, because these are comparative strangers. These are now neighbors. And in the last some years, if you feel, oh gosh, now I'm obliged to raise an objection. But this is such a casual meeting that I don't want to make this into a big thing. But I still think that there are ways, if she feels strongly enough about that, to very pleasantly make it clear that you're not that. You don't live that way. You don't even have to call it that, this, I'm not you. But I don't live this way. There can be very subtle and clear ways of doing it. And then there's a shakedown, then you'll find there'll be a happy surprise that you'll find others who are happy that there's here somebody who's not
Who
allowing
spoke?
side, you know. Huh? Sorry.
But he has spoken up. That is, yes.
Yeah.
And you say,
Yeah.
yeah, you find the non bigots also will emerge from the woodwork, as it
Right.
were.
Right. Right. Yeah. And where life is, then you're signaling that I have other things to talk about here just now. There are a whole lot of other things, you know, without declaring, without being pushy, without being saying, hey, no political talk, no thing, no declarations, but where you just don't engage. Instead of, and I've scribbled this word to myself, instead of smiling and playing along, that's where I had scribbled this thing and I think, where, just play along and smile because you're just feeling it's not the occasion to start a fight. And so but if you feel strongly enough like she's feeling that I don't want to be counted amongst the haters, if the casual sitting on the downstairs bench conversation is turning into this, you can get up and go and make that also very clearly a statement without anything. As she says, she does not want to be drawn into the drama. She does not want to start a big debate. She's lived her life on the terms that she's lived on this subject. So yes, so that means the pool of possible friendships may be smaller than what she thought. But that's what. So I think while we say the rules of engagement have changed when we grow older, on what basis we are making friendships, equally your core values, I don't think you'd require to throw away just for social interaction. That, having said one, I'm saying the other two, which is what your core is can't be it. You can keep quiet because you don't want to engage, but can that person become your good friend? And you feel no, absolutely fine. You want to go a step further and say this doesn't work for me, this conversation. You can just drift off looking bored, even if you want to not make a big point. So the rules of engagement have changed in terms of how much mirroring of each other's interests happens. You don't necessarily mirror, like we were saying, when you were younger. People became friends very much on, hey, I'm like you, you're like me, mirror, 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 mirror. And it did work for younger people. Whether it's your worldview, whether it's your economic bracket, whether it's your belief system, whether it's your lifestyle. Now, I think you can choose carefully and very little needs to intersect, but something needs to intersect. One can't say ki, this is not, I won't go out because they're all like this. Or I won't go out because my tribe is sitting 540 kilometers away. And so I will only virtually relate to my tribe. That I think is dangerous in terms of just day to day, which parts of your mind and your soul are required to interact with an actual human being, and not set up by appointments and dates, but just going downstairs or in the shops or in the dining area or in the play areas or any of that. It is work. It is work. Just like when we were little and we were taken into our KG class by our parents who were doing part of our work for us, and we were required to do the work to get along with people. Some of us may have been introverts, some of us may have been extroverts. So the degree, the number and the quality of friendships varied kid to kid. But you were required to do it. You could not just be, it was not good for you to just say, ki, my comfort zone is my mummy, bus, my mom and my house. And I will tolerate everybody else in school, but I will go scurrying home and get back into the womb, kind of. And I'm sort of pulling this comparison further and saying, at 60 plus, even then, there is a new KG class to join to make your outlines clear to people. This is my outline, this is who I am. And to also suss and see who are the kind of people you would enjoy. It is, again, work. It's KG class at 60. Especially if you're moving to a new place.
Can I say something?
Yes, Meera, please do.
Yeah. I thought that in a sense, I think she's sort of seems to be in a transition from, moving, like she's lost her husband and she's now in a new facility.
Yeah.
So I thought in a sense she's having to make that effort of engaging as a single. Yeah. And what I have done, if I find I have a lot which is not in common with other people, I find sort of a safe subject like the environment, which really needs it needs us all to be really engaged with as to how we can save ourselves from continuing to plunder the earth. Now, that is something which I'm not saying that necessarily everyone's going to join you, but
Okay.
it's at least a less controversial topic.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
and she could perhaps ask other people what they do, because so many people are doing something or the other to conserve water. Some
Oh,
people are
yes.
doing
Oh, yes.
something or the other
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
use less cars, or to use less planes,
Yeah.
or to buy less clothes, to
Yeah.
consume differently. So I mean, I think that from her letter she's kind of mentioned all that
Mm.
she doesn't like,
Mm.
and perhaps if she kind of concentrated on what were some of the things which she did actually like about other people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
And
it's easy to preach, so I mean, because we are away from the situation,
yeah.
but in actual fact it is tough to do. So
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
saying
Yeah.
that it's not, I'm just saying
No,
it's
she's
a
in a place, as you're saying, she's in a kind of place where,
yes,
and there's
yes,
this fear, like I was saying in the beginning, there's a feeling of not just tentativeness, but almost a fear that maybe
yeah,
just say
yeah. And also
in a
and as I felt like what you were saying is that she has to do the work, she has to make effort and say, this is what I can tolerate, this is what I and because people aren't going to be breaking down the walls to her house
yeah,
or to her room to make friends with her if she's not
absolutely,
um,
absolutely.
if
Yeah,
she's not opening the door at all.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I
That's
mean,
right.
opening
That's
the
not,
door is a very important part, I feel,
yeah. Right.
on our part, and then somebody may want to come in or not come in.
Yes, yes.
That's their choice, but we have to open the door.
And to find I feel one can find a way to those rules of engagement, which I'm saying, which are new, to
Yes,
find without being rude about, for example, if you don't like people to do casual drop-ins without checking with you first. Very
yes,
easy to say that. Very easy to say that. And not yet. I feel you're liberated by being 60 plus. You're liberated from that keeping somebody's face and keep it polite. And you don't have to be impolite. But,
yes,
it's, and yet I also want to tell her, as the uh, Janice life song goes about, picture abhi baki hai. It's very early to now just go into some kind of hibernation out of fear that I may not like what's out there, you know. So to find, I think what we put that little list of things which I said, maybe safer to make friends right now along interests. Instead of do I like you, do you and me like to do the same thing? Let's go and do it for 1 hour in a week. And that puts up she seems to want to put up some fences, and there's a legit way of putting up fences, because you're saying you're interested in this. Let's go to the drawing class, or let's go watering the plants, on the social forestry thing, something, anything that is available. Let's do this together. And that is a very safe space, I think. If you're feeling unsafe about getting taken over by a whole new set of people. And as you said, Meera, no, actually nobody is going to come and batten down your door and say, "Aao hamare saath khelne ko." It's not like holy time and people are coming and pulling you up to play holy. Everybody is carrying their own, their age and their situation with them. If it happens naturally, great. If it doesn't, I think these are good guide rails. Interests, volunteering, limited time consultancy, part-time jobs, where then the context is set. The context is set. If tomorrow I tell a publisher that I can come and write book proposals for you, I mean, I can vet book proposals for you from 3 to 6 on Wednesday and Thursday. I don't have to then fret about being fully pulled into it and being set up in, office parties and all of that. It's just me going in there, doing it, and yet interacting with people. It does involve me interacting, maybe have a cup of tea with somebody. So I feel these are good, safe modes in which you can make friends or at least acquaintances right now for somebody like her, you know. Of course, there'll be core friendship. Of course, your most comfortable person is if you get up and go those 545 miles away where you used to live and put up your feet and sit with that, dearest friend. That I don't think they are mutually exclusive, is what I'm saying. She can do this and she can do that, isn't it? Field trip buddies, somebody was calling it field trip buddies. No other things. You go out, you see, what is it? Macro photography. Some people I know, they'll turn over a leaf and they'll photograph pupa and this and that and come home, and at the most they'll exchange information, but doggedly rule set, no khana, pina, anything to do with each other. That is, some two people hit it off, want to go is different. But the rules of engagement set our interest is what is pulling us out of our houses and off our laptops and to meet up. I think that's a safe way for her to start. Yes, Deepali. Yeah.
I think rather than friendship, perhaps she could focus on being a decent neighbor and interacting in neighborliness rather than seeking friendship.
Hmm.
Because friendship, I think, is honestly like a gift from God. I don't think friendship, I think it happens. I mean, it is spontaneous and it happens.
Yeah.
But I think with the fact that you're living in a particular community,
Yeah.
it doesn't cost you anything to at least have a pleasant word for
Yeah.
everybody,
Yes.
to smile at people, to acknowledge
Yeah.
human beings. And sometimes a chance alone can give you a wonderful friendship. You can discover that this person actually likes the books you like to read or whatever.
Yeah.
And the intensity is, she may also come out of her shell and lose that resistance to a deeper interaction. Because
Correct.
I think she's got her defenses up right now. And
Yes.
in this transition phase,
Yeah.
which obviously she's also probably annoying, and she may not want people to ask her about her husband or
All of
anything.
that.
I mean,
All of that.
anything personal may be
Yeah.
painful for her to talk.
Yeah.
But
And
just be a good neighbor.
correct. No, and like she mentioned, and many of us have experienced this, that she and her husband have talked about this, bought this place, prepared to do this. This is the plan. And yet once you're
This was the
inside the plan, it's not, it's different. It's different. So, your mind is telling you, yeah, this is the way forward, and this is what we had planned. But there is obviously that I would not go so far as to say she's sounding as she's standing at the edge of an abyss. Not that frightening, but suddenly there's a blank slate. And she's wondering, she's very scared to even start redrawing the future. And who is in it, who is not, how close, how far. Suddenly the all bets are off. That feeling. Yeah, Sunita, you're saying something?
I think, like you said, that KG, that comparison of a child in KG, I think her situation is a lot like that.
Yes,
It's
really, yeah.
mostly out of fear, I think, no?
Yeah.
And she would be missing out on a lot if she didn't explore.
Just
no?
remain in that loner mode. Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
That's what. Yeah. I think there are lots of, I mean, and that's one of the many resources that Gen S Life provides, that there are so many avenues, they have just senior outings, day trips, activity clubs. If the underlying fear is I'm going to get stuck with people, It just currently seems to be her thing. I'm just going to get stuck with people who I don't know. I think if you know that you're using modes which don't involve so much wholesale friendship, wholesale mein, yani sub, everything. If she realizes that she could find resources which are more, not cut and dry, but which have clear boundaries. And I think those come from activity-based things first, rather than in our younger years, we make friends based on so many tangible and intangible things that come up between two people. It's probably safer now for her or any of us to first look at the tangibles. Do I like what? Do I like going seeing birds next door? There's a group. Will I go out with them? Yes. Somebody's written a note. 1 second, huh? Where are we? Somebody's written something on the chat. 1 second. Just take a look. Are you people able to look at the chat? Yeah. Yes. Yes. Lena has written, I like to compare it to the idea of Victorian drawing rooms. There are 2 or 3 in the larger homes. Casual acquaintances were entertained in the outermost. Some were admitted to an inner one, while good friends and intimates were invited into the innermost. We can have these limits with people too. Very, very well put. Very well put. Yes. Yes. Yeah. And I think as we've come to this age where that filter, which I'm saying, is very easy for us to put. We know who's going to get into the, core, but to first have that slightly more formal drawing room space in the head, where you're not immediately sitting on each other's kitchen counters and slurping chai. The slight formalness to it. And I think we are the age group where we know how to do that. We know how to get close, but we also know how to be a little formal, warm, but formal. All of this is part of our upbringing. Krish has been putting the details about everything on the chat here. The social media handles, the YouTube links, all of that, the contact number for the questions, it's all right there. Yeah. So where have I gone? Have I clicked out? No. Yeah. Okay. Anything else? Let me read you next week's theme. But if anybody has anything else to add, please feel free. Yes, Sunita.
One thing I was just thinking about this bigotry, which is such a big thing these days. I mean, actually, if you think of it, it's not all that, I mean, people who don't tolerate other communities, they're not going to go out and kill them or anything, right? It's just a thing that they don't like certain people.
Yeah, prejudice, good and proper prejudice. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think we all have our prejudices one way or the other.
That is true.
So, when you hear that word, when they talk bad about some community, immediately your antenna go up and I mean, I speak for myself also, I'm ready to do battle.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think it's not really necessary, no? I mean,
yeah. Correct. That's why I'm saying that especially at this age where you're not forced to cooperate all the time. You're not part of a family, you're not part of a company, nothing. Then maybe I wouldn't say it's easy, but it's required that you then have boundaries. And yes, of course, you can't unsee the person if you heard something very very damaging about, hateful. But you don't have to get along. Those are those filters that you'll put, I suppose.
Yeah.
So I remember it wasn't about communalism, but youngish American student who had come here on an exchange program was all about the patriarchy. She was living in a very traditional family here in Pune, and used to keep saying that oh my, the father of the house is extremely patriarchal, and he's this and he's that, and he mistreats the lady and all of this, and the whole, he and she used to be in battle with each other. He also was quite a sport about all these precepts, and she was just, 17. And one day her computer, her laptop with all her dissertation or whatever she was working on, all of it crashed. And, she had submissions coming up. And this guy, he literally stood on his head. This patriarchal guy who she was, he may have been patriarchal, all of it, but to just reflect what you're saying, Sunita, which is not an all bad man. He made it his thing. He went and got a computer laptop repair guy to roll up his shutters and sat all night figuring out how to retrieve that file and how to, basically bail her out completely. And she was so thrilled with him, and she kept saying, young enough to think that a patriarchal, little stuffy, stodgy man, family man, is all bad, is all bad. So, so in that sense, yeah, it's not so simple also.
Yeah, people are different, no? There are, I mean, they're not just uniform
Correct.
kind of beings.
Yeah. Okay, we'll stop here, but before that, I'll read you the theme for next week. It's about how we seniors need to let go of old issues while taking care of our very old parents. How that is an area of that has to be worked on. Many of us are in that situation where we are seniors and our parents are super seniors. And in the biggest issue in that is that, you're not able to let go of the unresolved old issues, you're not able to let go. You may go to Gita classes and you may go to, all kinds of discourses and all of that, but you come home and the person gets under your skin again. How to find a more human way to be kinder to yourself and the other person. How to let go old issues while taking care of very old parents is the theme for next week. Yeah? Okay, shall we stop here?
Yeah.
Okay, Krish, we are off. Bye, everybody. See you.
Thank you.
See
Bye-bye.
Thank you, ma'am.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks.